I'm Aaron Maté, sitting in for Jimmy Dore, here with Malcolm Fleschner. And this has happened in Congress. Matt Gaetz calls for urgent removal of U.S. troops from Somalia, supports a war powers resolution. And this vote was held. And here is Matt Gaetz.
I want to welcome the American people to the second part in a legislative series we are conducting about all of the places on the planet Earth where Congress still believes that 9/11 justifies current U.S. troop presence in 2023. And the first in that series was Syria. And I came to this floor, only got about 103 votes, but I made the argument that our troops were essentially sitting ducks, guarding oil extraction operations where their presence was known, where their location was easily identifiable, and I called for a withdrawal. That withdrawal was defeated. And then precisely what I predicted, more U.S. casualties from Iranian drones, that's what happened, exactly what I said would occur. And it is with no joy I say that. And I know all of us would take any policy position we could to reduce U.S. casualties. And I think this debate will present an excellent opportunity to reflect on Somalia in that light. There are currently 900 U.S. troops in Somalia, give or take, and this resolution would bring them home. Somalia is a country of 17 million, tortured at times by al-Shabaab, a group of roughly 7,000 hardened fighters and even more sympathizers. But to believe any of the arguments, just logically, that my colleagues are making, you have to believe that 900 U.S. troops is what is going to save a country of 17 million from a hardened group of 7,000. I think that strains not only logic, but our understanding of the history of Somalia, a country that has oscillated between failed state and just absolute coup revolution over and over again,
which the U.S. has been heavily involved in. There was a time when George Bush Sr. sent in troops, and under the Bush administration basically supported a change in government from this group known as the Islamic courts that were running Somalia, and the Bush administration basically backed a coup that has put Somalia in the position that it's in today.
Civil war, sectarian violence. The future of Somalia must be determined by Somalia. And to the extent that foreign influences could be helpful, I would argue that the African Union is far better positioned to build a stronger sense of national identity and national unity among clans that have been warring in Somalia for generations than U.S. troops. I have yet to see the evidence that U.S. troops are the essential element to fusing relationships among warring African warlords, clans, and tribes.
That's Matt Gaetz leading the congressional effort to end the U.S. military presence in Somalia. Here's a headline from The Intercept. U.S. trained officers have led numerous coups in Africa. And here is Terry Riley on Twitter. What? We are still in Somalia? Because yes, it never gets discussed, much like the U.S. occupation of Syria never gets discussed unless U.S. troops are being attacked, which is happening with more frequency of late. Here is Burt Maverick. It's absolutely crazy to think that the only people in the U.S. government opposed to war are so-called right-wing extremists. Make that make sense. Well, there have been progressives who have sided with Matt Gaetz on this. They voted with him when it comes to his war powers resolution over Syria, and they did so once again over Somalia. But yes, it is the so-called right-wing extremists like Matt Gaetz who's leading the charge right now in Congress for these war powers measures and for a withdrawal of U.S. troops from Somalia and Syria. So the vote was held, and it was defeated by a tally of 321 to 103.
That's the Syria vote, by the way.
That's a Syria vote, yes. So that's a Syria vote. That's 47 Republicans and 56 Democrats voted yes for the measure to withdraw U.S. troops from Syria. And there is that tally yet. Malcolm, do we know if the vote on Somalia has happened yet?
I don't think so. I think that was just, he was just speaking out against it. I don't know if he has a bill prepared, but at least what I appreciate is that there is a healthy and vibrant debate in this country about whether we should be sending troops to places like Somalia. It dominates the news. It's everywhere. We talk about our foreign policy constantly, and the idea of all the nearly 1,000 military bases we have around the world, and whether we should be deploying troops constantly all over the world. If we didn't have that debate, I would feel worse about all those troops being in. Where was it again?
Somalia. And, I think the vote actually might have been held, but if it hasn't, I'm going to look into the future and I'm going to report right now that the vote has been defeated, that U.S. troops will stay in Somalia, because just like Congress, a majority was united behind keeping U.S. troops in Syria, they also are united around keeping U.S. troops in Somalia. It's the one thing.
It's a dangerous time, Aaron. I don't know if you maybe you missed what Ilhan Omar was saying in an earlier segment, but it's a dangerous time. And when we're in a dangerous time, you have to just keep doing the same things that you've been doing that led you into that dangerous time and not change, because that might get you out of the danger. And where would we be then?
Well, that's why we have to listen to Kamala Harris and think about the moment we're in right now, the present moment we're in at this very, very moment. Always a helpful
Thank you for
guide.
contextualizing that. I appreciate that you're contextualizing a moment like that for me.
We're telling jokes in Nashville, Honolulu, Los Angeles, Northampton, Massachusetts, Syracuse, Cohoes, New York, Hartford, Connecticut, Baltimore, Chicago, Rosemont, San Diego, and more. Go to jimmydore.com to get a link for all those tickets. Plus, you can watch my new special, COVID Lies Are Funny.